Can this 3-in-1 oil really quiet down a noisy condenser fan motor? Let's take it apart, put some oil on it, and see if that'll make a difference. Hey, what's up YouTube? Dan the Fix-It Man. Got another quick video here for you. Got a really loud AC unit out here. As you heard in the intro, it's a pretty obvious, loud, obnoxious noise, and it sounds like it is the condenser fan or the condenser fan motor. Now we've got two units here side by side, and I have replaced the motor in this one, and it sounds like either it's starting to go bad or those bearings are really dry. And what I want to do is see if we can save it rather than replace that entire motor. See if we can pull that off and try to get some oil down into those bearings and see if that will quiet this down. Now the first thing you would probably want to do is make sure that all of these screws around the perimeter are nice and snug. Also, you can take a look here inside, see if your fan blades look like they're all intact, at least all there, and or if you see any obvious cracks. To me, it sounds like it's an issue with the motor itself or with the bearings in the motor. Those do dry up. I don't know if this motor is technically an oilable motor, but I'm going to see if we can at least get something in there and see if we can't quiet this down. So the first thing we need to do is make sure that there's no power going to the unit, and what I'm going to do is just pull the disconnect over here. You can see the conduit here running along the wall, and this disconnect is right here. Just pull this out. See, it's got on and off. We'll just shove it back in there. All right, we've got that turned off. Now, you probably aren't going to have one of these. This is just our power company. For a while there, this unit was signed up with a remote program where they could shut this off. This is like a rolling blackout sort of thing that they could control and turn this off. Unfortunately, they were only turning this off on the hottest of all days, the only days that we really were running the AC. So we unsubscribed to that program, so this is no longer active. But you can see that it's just got two screws that are holding it or mounting it here. I could take it off, actually take it apart and disconnect it, but it's not a big deal. It's not doing anything. But I am going to pull these screws off and set this aside so that we can go around the perimeter and remove the rest of the screws. Hopefully there's enough length in the wiring that we can just take off the top and flip it upside down. Looks like these are all 5/16. It helps if you got one of these little magnetic trays. You can just capture all of these screws as we take them out. And I'm just using this Malco bit. This is the flip bit, the 1/4 and 5/16 with a little Milwaukee impact. All right, those are all off. Let's set this out of the way. Now I can see the conduit for the motor is going right through to this corner. So that's where we're gonna hope that we have enough room to lift and pivot this upside down. There we go. You can see right here, we've got enough length of wire, luckily, that worked out just fine. This is also zip tied a little bit tight, so we could probably pull a little bit more of that out if we had to. But let's just do a quick little inspection here on the fan. Looks okay. Now we want to just kind of see if there's any side-to-side movement. There is a little bit. Actually, that is okay. It still feels pretty solid. But end play up and down like that, that's okay. You know, and our fan looks okay too. I'm just kind of trying to really look closely at all the riveted spots. And it looks all right. I don't think we have any issues there. This motor looks like it doesn't have any oil ports or anything. Some of the older versions do. Nowadays, most of them don't. But this is what I'm gonna try to do, is just oil right down that shaft in hopes that that oil will drip down, maybe even into the other side of the other bearing, and see if that will help us. But this is what I'm gonna use, just some 3-in-1 oil. I'm gonna see if I can find a little tube, which will help me guide the oil down in there. All right, what I found was this. This is just a little dental syringe. I've got a bunch of these. I use them for all kinds of stuff, but this right here looks like we'll be able to apply this 3-in-1 oil with a little bit more precision. And this is a new container. Just need to cut this open. This comes with a little cap, which is nice, but what I'm going to try to do is put enough in here that we can apply that directly to that motor shaft. There we go. So let's just go right down here and see if we can get that oil just to penetrate down, just along that shaft right down inside. Now you don't want to use too much. You'll just gum up the windings of the motor and everything. Just kind of lifting it a little bit. That end play, just to see if that will help that oil just soak right down into the end there. Well, yeah, I don't know if that's just me or if I'm just imagining that, but that does feel smoother than it was. Well, what I'm going to do, I'm going to just let this soak in there for a little bit. I may not leave it overnight, but I'm definitely going to leave it for quite a while. And then we'll come back, flip this back over, put it back together, and see if that made a difference. All right, well, I just let this sit for a few hours. I did not let it sit overnight, and it's pretty hot, so I'd like to get this unit back up and running to make everybody inside happy. But let's go ahead and flip this back over, put it back together, and see if that solved our issue. Just kind of be careful of these wires over here, make sure that they don't get pinched or anything like that. Just kind of have to tuck this little outer cage in. There we go. Just make sure that you get the lid all the way around. This little cage right here, sometimes little parts will stick out and you kind of got to tuck those back in. Now we can put all these screws back in. And this little thing right here on the side, just gonna put it back on. Again, it's not even being used. I could get in there and disconnect everything from the contactor, but it's not being used right now, so it doesn't do any harm. All right, got the top back on, looks good. Now another thing you wanna check for is make sure that the unit is sitting level, which ours is, but if it's not, sometimes that can cause them to make some noise. But let's go flip our disconnect here. Okay, that looks good. And let's go turn it on inside the house. Oh, the noise is back. Looks like we're gonna have to order a new condenser fan motor for this unit. This oiling trick just didn't work for me. It sounded quiet there for a minute, but let me turn it back on. I'll show you. It's just getting loud again. It was quiet for a few minutes, and I was real happy. Kind of wrapped up the video, turned everything off, and then I just turned it back on, and the noise came right back. So not sure if I didn't let the oil soak in long enough, or if this motor's just maybe too far gone. But let's go ahead and turn it back on, and I'll show you what it sounds like now. So there you can see I just turned it back on, and it's quiet right now again, but a few minutes ago it just started making noise again. So I just don't know if it's a little out of balance or if that motor shaft is worn out. Yeah, there it is right there. Yeah, it's just bad. You can see if I wiggle the unit a little bit, that shaft I think is just worn out and making too much noise. As I was wrapping this video up, the fan motor started making noise again, and so I thought, okay, this didn't work, and that's definitely not going to be the fix for this particular unit, and that oil trick is just not going to work for me. Well, then I decided to pull it off again, and I added more oil to that shaft of that fan motor and just spun that a little bit longer, and then I just thought, it's not going to work, and I just threw it back together here just a few minutes later. I didn't really let it soak in much, and then I kicked it back on, and now it is quiet. So it is not making that terrible noise. Well, it's still a loud unit because these are pretty old, but it's not making that horrible sound, that grinding or screeching noise like it was. This may have worked. Maybe I needed to use a little bit more oil. I was kind of worried about using too much because I didn't want to gum up the windings of the motor or anything. And again, this may not be a long-term fix, or this may not last very long, so I'll probably just go ahead and order a replacement condenser fan motor just to have on hand if this one does give out. I'll definitely give you guys an update with how long this does last. I'm just planning on leaving it unless it completely goes out. Even if I do have that spare condenser motor on hand, I'm not going to change it until this goes out completely or starts making noise, or a lot of times these will start to smell like an electrical type of burn smell, and that's usually when you'll know that that fan motor has gone bad. I think I'm going to wrap it up for now, and like I said, I will definitely update the description if this doesn't last long, so hang in there. In all transparency, I just wanted to let you know that it didn't seem like it was working in the beginning, and now it does seem like it is working. So maybe just a little bit more oil, or let it soak in a little bit longer. Even though this really isn't an oilable motor, it's not really a serviceable motor, it looks like it still might work. This may last us a while, but let's give it a go and let's just let this thing run. I may not post this video until tomorrow, so I'll probably just let this run for the rest of the day, and if the noise comes back, I'll post a little update clip here at the end. But all right, well, I let this thing run all day today, and it is just a really hot day, so this thing has been on all day. You can see it's not making that crazy loud noise, so that definitely worked. I'm A little surprised. This may just be a temporary fix on that motor, but if you're in a little bit of a bind or can't spend the money on a new condenser fan motor, this trick might help you. You know, if you've got any burn smell, like an electrical burning smell, chances are the motor is completely shot. But if it's just making some noise or squealing or something like that, kind of like what ours was doing, you might be able to oil that and get a little bit more life out of it. And I just wanted to give a quick shout out to the YouTube channel Word of Advice TV. He's got a lot of videos on there on heating and air repairs. And one of the videos he said that you can perhaps oil the condenser fan motor and maybe get a little bit more life out of it, and it looks like that worked out just fine for us. I will definitely update the video or update the description if I have any issues or if this doesn't last very long. As of right now, looks like it's running quiet and we should be good to go. I hope you liked the video. Please give it a thumbs up and subscribe if you don't mind. That does help me out. I'll get a link in the description to some of the parts and tools used in the video as well. Well, several more hours in and it's still being quiet, so I just thought I would update this video before I post it. Everything is looking good and sounding good. I've got both units on right now, so a little bit of stereo, a little bit of noise here, but you can see it's working and running quiet, and I couldn't be happier that we didn't have to change that motor. So stuff definitely worked. Thanks so much for watching and good luck.